very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us this evening right here on Transforming Families. I'm excited to have you on board. My name is Faith Kaulu, and today I am joined by Reverend Edward Karanja, a minister with the Presbyterian Church of West Africa, as well as a marriage and family therapist.
Thank you very much, Faith. It's always a pleasure to be in Transforming Families.
Sure.
For, as we say, stable families for a stable society. Yes.
As well, Karibu, and Professor Catherine Gashuda, who is an author, a counseling psychologist, and the director of the Kenya Institute of Business and Counseling Studies. Karibu sana, Professor.
Congratulating Reverend. You can see the jacket he's wearing.
Yeah, sure.
And we remember this is the week for
PCMF.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe Reverend, you'd like to mention a bit about the PCMF and what it's doing in the society, especially for the men.
Yes, thank you very much, Faith. Today, like we say, I'm wearing the maroon jacket of the badge for the PCMF, which means Presbyterian Church Men Fellowship. And this week is when we focus on the service that men render in the society, and we focus on the man as a priest of the family. And the theme this week is drawn from Joshua 24:15, that says, "As for me and my house will serve the Lord." And this week, and especially in my parish in Kasarani, we are reminding men that the husband, it is the bond that binds the family. The husband is the glue that binds the entire family together.
Yeah.
So if the husband or the man doesn't tie the family together, the family disintegrates. Simply what I'm telling men in our parish and all of my viewers is that the buck stops with you as the man. Don't pass it over to anybody else. If that family disintegrates, the buck stops with you.
Amazing.
Yes.
I really love what you're doing, because for the longest time we focused on women and the ladies, but here it's something for the men as well.
Yes.
And I love the fact that you said the man is the glue, because
Yes.
indeed he is the glue.
He is the bond that bonds the family. He's the glue that glues that family together. If there's some dysfunctionalities around, it is the glue to check on why is that not sticking well together. Yes.
Thank you so much for that. There have been programs running throughout this week, as well as directed by the PCMF. So in case you missed them, worry not, because they are on our YouTube page. That is at CAC TV Kenya. Catch up with what PCMF is doing in regards to changing the society, and especially touching on the man.
Yes.
Today on Transforming Families, we are going to focus on rape and sexual coercion. I mean, recently, over the past few months, in the media, especially the social media, people have been very bold enough to come out and talk about sexual coercion, cases or instances of indecency and rape or attempted rape that they went through. And I believe that it is time for us to as well bring this discussion right here on Transforming Family. Sex is a very complicated topic that people think, I'm a Christian. Let's not mention that word, but I want to say that we are mentioning it today because this is the only way that we get to make the society a better place, when we understand all matters. And today we want to understand about sex, sexual coercion, and rape as well. I'd love us to begin with the basic definitions. If Professor Catherine, you can as well let our viewers know what sexual coercion really means.
When we talk about sexual coercion and rape, in the first place, rape is about taking something from somebody forcibly, meaning that you've not been given permission to take it from the person. And that means that there is no consent that is given for sex to happen between the two persons. And when we talk about coercion, is that pressure, that force, that power that is used on a person. That means that it is not you deciding that I would want to do this. Maybe it's manipulation that is applied on the person so that you can feel, okay, let me give in now because I am not getting understood here and I'm not getting respected here. But because I am married, because I am in this relationship, let me just do it. But later on you feel a sense of being cheated and betrayed. You feel, I didn't put my mind into it and I didn't make a decision about it. And therefore I'm feeling hurt because of that. to that extent, when you're taking something from somebody without being given permission and without respecting the feelings and thoughts of the person, that is indeed rape. But coercion can come in many other forms, even that manipulation, even that ridiculing a person to a point they feel, then let me be a woman or let me be a man. So that peace can reign in our relationship. Yeah.
And even before we get further, you've mentioned something, and I'd love to say that men as well are victims of sexual coercion, because in most instances, when we talk about this, and we've seen it, women are bold enough to come out and say, you know, I was forced into this. Men are a bit shy away, but I'd love to state that as we are going on with this discussion, even men are victims of sexual coercion. So female, or I'd say women also, put men in situations where they force them either by threatening them or just using ways to get what they want sexually. I just wanted to put and make that clear as we continue with this discussion.
And probably can add up on what Faith have just said about women also coercing men, you know, towards having sex. And I agree with the definition that, you know, rape is getting something that, you know, forcefully from the other person.
Sure.
And enough men that have been coerced into sex. It's only that men don't verbalize it. They don't talk about it. But when a man is even going to the extent of using, you know, the energy boosters to be able to have sex, it's because he is being pushed either by the wife or by the girlfriend or by whoever to raise to a certain standard sexually. And probably, you know, he's not in the position to be able to perform sex. Either he's sick, and the sickness here could mean psychologically sick or spiritually sick or physically unwell. So he goes out, you know, to get some energy boosters, drugs, to be able to have sex. Why is he going to that extent? Because he wants to please a woman that is pushing him so hard to having sex. And especially today, even because of the kind of the foodstuffs and everything else people are eating, you'll find many men not being sexually very strong. So, and they are getting pushed by girls who probably are stronger than they are, you know, sexually. And you see, for a man, you can't fake, you know, sexual feelings. You must, you know, be in a certain condition. But a woman can fake and say that she's enjoying when she's not really enjoying. She can't even be able to fake. She can use medications and other things. So men get coerced, and we have even lost some for overdosing of those, you know, energy boosters. Yes.
I'd love that. Thank you for highlighting that, because most instances we put a lot of pressure on men. I mean, you have to perform, and we even mock them and ridicule them if they don't meet certain standards. Prof, I'd love to hear what Reverend has just touched on, that female can pretend to enjoy sex, but men can't.
It is true, because again, of the reproductive organs between men and women, that a woman can have sex even without wanting to have, and therefore they can fake it. But a man will not, because their genitalia, is more on the outside, and even the way they respond in the process of having sex, if a man is not excited and attuned to that, it will become very difficult for him to do that. But again, on the same subject that Lev has picked on, that men are coerced into having sex, again, we need to ask ourselves the question, preference of rape and coercion. Who does that much more? Who coerces much more? Who gets into situations of raping the other much more? And we know that women are raped more because of their position of lesser power. Because again, there is power disparity between men and women. And again, the orientation and the socialization between men and women. A woman is socialized that she's supposed to be servicing a man sexually. Again, something that needs to be rectified. But in terms of preference, we have more men raping and coercing women into sex. Yeah.
Wow.
I agree and disagree at the same time.
All right.
Which is good.
Which is good for in faith. We have, as Prof has said, we have more men, being accused of raping women as opposed to women raping men.
Yeah.
Because of the power. And the power that most of the time we talk about is the physical power.
Yeah.
But then there is the other innate power, the inner power, that a woman will have more over a man.
That's
when
also
she
true.
dares a man,
Yeah.
you're not a man enough. So the man wants to prove that he's a man enough. We have women reporting when they are raped. We do not have men reporting when they are raped.
Yeah.
So even as we say that there are more women raped more than men are raped, I would want to put it, and I know this is what is in the media, this is what everywhere, that women are raped, not men raped. I would want to put it that there are more women raped reported as opposed to the men raped reported.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that also comes from the fact of us ridiculing, mocking men when they come out and we tell them, why are you not man enough to stand for yourself? Or if they were raped by a woman, we say, of course you wanted it.
Yeah.
We again look the other way and say, it couldn't be you didn't want. Then how did she rape you?
How did she rape you?
Yeah.
And the professor, explained about the male genitalia. The fact that your genitalia was in a position to, have sex, then it means you are not really raped. You also wanted it. You're only pretending.
Yeah. Which is a sad state.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're only pretending that you are not. It's an extremely sad state because you don't know even whether this person would maybe given something to make him be excited about it.
Yeah.
So you have more men, we have more women reported of being raped, but we also have many men that have been coerced and even raped.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. I really like that we've
Yes.
put that out clear. Prof, would you like to add on that?
Yeah. I don't have any contention with what Lev is saying. I think what we need is to carry out more researches and studies so that we can be able to determine the preference of men being coerced and raped, so that it can be out here for us to be able to know how to respond to that. Because at the end of the day, we are talking about a person who is getting harmed by being coerced or by being raped, whether that is a woman or that is a man. And when we have the numbers, we are able to respond to that more.
Yeah.
But when Lev was talking, I was thinking about during the times of crisis, or during the time of when we had the post-erection violence. What happens is that sex is used as a tool of power.
Yeah.
And during those periods of time, and we have militia, irregular militia, and most of those that are recruited are men who are even given drugs so that they can be made to do certain things that the politicians would want them to do. And in the long run, what happens is that a lot of women are taken advantage of and are raped, and the numbers escalate. In the year 2007 to 2008, a total of 30,500 women were raped. And as Lefred would say, those are the numbers and the people who found it easy to report. We do not have the numbers of men who are raped during that period of time. But again, we understand that during times of violence, like during times of erectioneering, what happens, and how women are maimed and are put in situations of abuse.
Thank you for bringing that up, because since March, you've mentioned that times of violence and times of, I'd say, hardship. Since March, during the lockdown, actually cases of rape and also sexual coercion have also increased, especially among the ladies, which of course we are taking into consideration that male don't come out to report such instances. So it's totally supports the point that you're bringing across and putting forward. So I totally agree with that. I'd love us to now look at some of the instances of coercion. Of course, we've mentioned that threats are there, that a man tells you, if you don't give me sex, I'll get it out. So you're like, okay, let me say yes. I don't want to say yes, but let me say yes because he'll leave me. And if he leaves me, I'm hopeless. Or who am I? My Mrs. title will be taken away from me, or I'll have no future prospects to marry me. Of course, this is just one instance. Maybe Prof will mention a few for the female, and Rev maybe give us a few male instances. We don't want to leave the boy child out of this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. It is true there are incidences of coercion, and even as we talk, I would want to say that probably it's good, like to even Prof can give either both male or female, because we have all these incidences that come to our offices, that come to our desk, and the people that we interact with every other day that have been coerced into having sex. And you find most of them who will really come and pour their heart out to you because they are feeling sad and feeling bad that they have been, pushed to this level. There are many women that have reported, and again, I would want to use the word reported. That means there are more women that, when you do statistics, it will show that there are more women that are coerced into having sex as opposed to men, because you'll have more women reporting. And the ones that I've encountered, there are more women that have reported the cases of being coerced. And many of them will give in to sex, even if they are not at the space, of having it, for a few reasons. One is to keep what you have said, Faith, the title of Mrs. One is fearing if I don't do it, I might lose my husband, and I will lose him to another woman. Meaning, if he's not having it here in the house, then he might go out to have it elsewhere. So the lady will give in, even though she's not really feeling like wanting to, to have it, but because of the repercussions, then we should do it. The other reason would be probably when she was in the position to be able to have sex, probably the man was not in that space. Maybe because of the pressure, work-related pressure, his health, whatever. So the moment the man is in the position to, be able to have it, so the lady starts feeling like, if I don't accept it now, the moment I will be wanting, he will claim, you are very selfish. The only time the only time you want is, you ask is when I'm not in a position, maybe I'm not feeling well. Then when I've said this, then here you are. And so because of, again, that kafia, you'll find the man again, wanting to, the lady giving in at that particular moment. So you'll have ladies that are coerced with those lines. For men who I think are like, Prof may agree or not, who are the greatest victim when it comes to sexual coercion, the man is being dared. When a man is dared, you're not a man enough. The ego of a man, the man feels so bad that I'm not a man enough. So when he's dared, he might start going to eat God knows what. You'll be told, eat the melon, eat
quail eggs,
boiled quails,
really
go for quails. And the men will be all over looking for quails and the quail eggs. And the way they are small, unless you eat like 5, I don't know how many. Some of them will be told, you need to eat crocodile meat.
It happens.
Now I'm hearing they're eating the chia seeds. You're told, you need to go and eat chia seeds. There's a time really Don melon was really like top, and the men would be all over. And Don melons were very expensive. Then you'll be told eat the pomegranate fruit. Ile matunda fulani inaitwa kumanga, pomegranate fruits. The men will be told eat that. And you eat it, and you come home, and there's still nothing that is happening around there. So you'll have so many men who are coerced, but they're not forced, but they're intimidated. And when you intimidate a man, there's that thing of wanting to prove that indeed I am a man. And that's why, like I had said in the opening remarks, you'll have many men who will even go into taking energy booster drugs, the Viagras and the rest, because they have been coerced. Otherwise, if they were not coerced, those men would not have taken those drugs. They would have simply be like, I am not able to do it. I am not in the position, and that will be fine. But since he has been dared, he has been not only coerced, pushing to the corner, prove you are a man.
Yeah.
So he says, no, let me rush to the shops to take some medication for head, or there's something I want to pick out, I need to pick credit. Then I come back. Instead of going to the shops to pick credit, he picks up drugs and takes them so that he can come and, now please the wife, or prove, not even really please, prove that I'm still a man around here. And we have lost men into that.
Yeah.
Some have gone into having depression, others have blood pressure because of the same. And now when you have those sicknesses, you even become worse at doing it. So sexual coercion happens in marriages. It even happens even in, before with the unmarried, where we have boyfriends and girlfriends. It's happening. And again, because of the eating and the feeding systems, and probably we may want to mention that a little bit later, many men again will get themselves into the issues of being coerced and even doing drugs because the bodies, many men today are not doing exercises. So when you don't tone up your muscles, the muscles become weak, and not just the muscles of the body.
Yeah.
Even that other muscle becomes very weak, when you are not doing exercises. And so when you get coerced, it again pins and pushes you down. So we have men being coerced in a very big way in these matters. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Prof.
Yeah. Even listening to what Lev has said, one thing comes out very, very clearly, which is factual in the situation. And this is that women coerce and men lip.
Yeah.
Because for a woman, it is within a process where you're doing the pushing. And therefore, you are continually pushing, and a man is going to do certain things like what Levred is saying because pressure has been applied, slow and sure. But a man is more performance oriented, and therefore they are likely to rape even because of their physiology. They are likely to rape than a woman is likely to rape a man. And there are many situations where then we are saying men and women have the propensity of doing something that is injurious to the other party, and that makes them to be demeaned in terms of their sexuality. Now, many situations that we receive and we contend with as therapists and psychologists is like when couples are coming for therapy and a man is saying, I have been denied sex within my marriage and I got married so that I can have sex. And a woman is saying, you don't prepare me. Yeah, you don't prepare me. You just want to have your sexual release, and after that, I am left hanging. Meaning that this lady is feeling, I would want you to take me on a journey, and I would want to have you be respectful of me. I would want you to be affectionate to me. I would want you to ask me what this journey is like that we are going with you. And I would want to feel that you are a friend along this journey. But I don't want to feel like used as a piece of something, so that once you're through with your sexual release, then I don't count anywhere. And then you sleep after you do that. Meaning that you just thought that me, I am supposed to be your object of your own fulfillment. And after that, what happens after that? So we get a lot of that. And again, even from research, in terms of emotional needs, one of the emotional needs for men, and we have a researcher called Harry Wayrad who has done a lot of research on the needs for men and needs for women. And the number one need for men is sexual fulfillment. And therefore, when he's not fulfilled, he gets angry. The marriage is not working because he's resentful. He's not even going to provide in the house because something very major has been denied, or he has been denied something very major. And the reason as to why this man is refusing to buy unga or to buy sugar or to buy other essentials within the house is a way of coercing her. Okay. You have to come through for me. It is starting from very far, but you have to come through for me. The reason as to why I'm not going to pay dowry for you is because you do not fix my sexual needs the way I want them to be fixed. And so you get these subtle ways that are very annoying and they lap through very, very deep in people, but they are happening in a marriage relationship. And just like Refred said, sometimes women can be very unfair in words they use, and women have a gifting of talking. But sometimes the talking can be taken in the wrong direction, where you're asking your spouse, what kind of a man are you? Who cannot even take me through a whole process. True. You leave me hanging in the air. What kind of a man are you? And they have the words to use. And where they are using them, they are not really thinking about where they need to use them, because what you're doing actually is that you're destroying this individual by the words you use. If you think that you're curing that, then what you're doing is to make it worse by your words, because you're speaking to his organ that can decide that I'm going to be functional and I'm not going to be functional. And the more he becomes not functional, he cannot rise to the occasion, the more it frustrates the marriage. So this kind of a coercion where somebody is using very ruthless and very lewd and very uncultured words in a situation where you need to come in with a lot of sensitivity. Our sexual organs know how to respond to courtesy. They know how to respond to gentleness. But when you use coercion, you use rude words, crude words, what happens is that the sexual organs decide, I'm not going to do the work. I will refuse to do the work. The lubrication refuses. The rising to the occasion of the man refuses. Because we are going into this space when we are using the principles that are not working in the situation, and we have to revise that, because that kind of a coercion where you're using those crude words is not helping in the situation. And I'm not saying it's only the woman who can say the crude words. Even the man can say the crude words.
Thank you so much for that. I am really loving this discussion that is going on here, and I believe that you are as well. Let's keep interacting on our social media pages. Facebook and YouTube is at CAC TV Kenya. We are going on a very short break, but I'd love to leave you with this question. Is rape valid in marriage? Can one spouse or one partner say, you know what, my husband raped me or my wife raped me? That's a question that we'll be answering in the second part, so do not go too far.
CAC TV invites you for the live Sunday services on the 8th of November the year 2020. Join us as we celebrate Men's Mission Week. The first service will be Children's Service, which will be hosted by PCA Kayole Parish, led by Reverend Peter Kariuki, Director PCA Children Ministry. The second service will be English Service, which will be hosted by PCA St. Andrew's Parish, led by Reverend Harun Gere, the Parish Minister. The guest preacher will be Reverend Henry Kaira, Director PCMF. The third service will be Vernacular Service in Gikuyu, which will be hosted by PCA Murera Parish, led by Reverend Mary Maribethige, the Parish Minister. The guest preacher will be Reverend Henry Kaira, Director PCMF. The fourth service will be Youth Tuko Service, which will be hosted by Reverend Anthony Miringu, Director PCA Youth Ministry. Tune in to CAC TV on Signet, CAC TV on Facebook, and CAC TV on YouTube to fellowship with us.
Welcome back to Transforming Families, and thank you so much for keeping it right here. We are talking about sex, sexual coercion, and rape. And I'd love us to recap on what we were talking about just before we went on a break. Prof had mentioned about how words are so real, yeah, and how they can make, let's say, the sexual organs not function.
Yes.
Yeah. Rev, you had wanted to add something on that.
Yes, I would not want my viewers to lose out on this, Prof and Faith, because something that Prof has said is very, very crucial, that the sexual organs, they respond to gentleness, kindness, and that is very crucial for us to hear. The moment they are given roughness, rudeness, manipulation, they take a backseat, and they will take a backseat. They will go back to their stores, they will rest there, and they will wait until when you have known how to address them. Okay. And I am so happy that that came from Prof. Because many times ladies are used or are known to use very hard language.
Yeah. And
when you use the hard language, what kind of a man are you? You cannot take me the whole journey. And you become rough. The genitalias take a backseat, and they will go and they can run away for a whole week until the moment you have learned how to use the right language, address them, they can just go. And the same thing, even for the man. When the man becomes very rough to the woman and he keeps on comparing her with other people, talking to her rudely, she will never lubricate, and she will never be able to enjoy. To her, it will be a duty, a hurtful duty. She'll go through that journey. And the moment you are through, she's glad that you are finished. Not because she's fulfilled. And it is because you have finished. And it's good for all of us, including our viewers, to always ask yourself that question. Has he finished or is he fulfilled? Has she finished or is she fulfilled? Because it's always good for you to ask yourself that question when it comes to it. Because it's supposed to be a two-way traffic. It's supposed to be the two of us. And there's also something else Prof said before we went on a break, that among the needs for a man, sex is top on the list. So when ladies ask men, is sex air? You can't think about anything. You can't think about anything else. This is the only thing you think around. Can't you think how to pay school fees? Can't you think of buying me a new dress? Can't you think of, making my hair? When he thinks sex, it unlocks all those other thoughts. So don't ask him to think on the reverse. The moment this comes up, it unlocks every other compartment in their lives. That's very crucial. And thank you, Prof, for bringing it up.
Wow.
Thank you so much for that as well. So it means sometimes the problem is not only with the man, it could be the words you're uttering as the partner.
Yes, and the words are crucial. And not just the man, not just the woman, the words she's uttering, even the man. And that's why our words are very crucial. The gentleness, like we talked, from both sides, gentleness is very crucial. That's why we talk about tender, loving care. So even if you love someone, you got to be tender. Even if you are caring for your family and you want your family to have good house, you want your family to be taken to school, the children, the tenderness. So the tender is very crucial. The love comes. The tender is crucial. The care comes. It's not the man is, like we say, the man is a priest. The man is a provider. The man is a protector. But if you do all those things but you're not tender, then you're being a priest will hardly be appreciated. You being a protector will hardly be appreciated. You being a provider, you could provide everything and you see like it's not being appreciated because you lost on tenderness. So tender is very crucial. As a lady, you can bring forth children. You can make the house very clean. You can wash the clothes. You can cook the food. You can go and complain to the ladies around and saying, kwani huyu mwanaume anatakanga nini? Nimemfulia nguo, nimemzalia watoto. It's like you never wanted the babies yourself. Nimemzalia watoto. And yet he's not grateful because you have done all those things, but it's not tender.
We actually give birth children for you men.
And ladies say that even professor is even that you say nimekuzalia watoto. So it's like, ladies, all you need to do is come to my house, give birth for me. It's like you did not want your children. So even if you do all those things, but you lack in tenderness, all these other things may never be appreciated. Thank you very much.
Wow. Let's go and talk about rape now in marriage, because now when you focus on the children, we can really dwell on that argument. Yeah. So let's talk about rape in marriage, Professor. I mean, the husband owns rights to sex as well as the wife. So what if one partner does not want, and they really want it and they take it by force? Is that really something wrong? It isn't a big deal, just sex with my wife. So let's talk about rape in marriage.
And you have asked a key question. Is it something wrong? And it's not a moral question here. It has more aspects to it than the morality about it. Because yes, you married this woman so that she can meet your sexual needs. But you also married her so that you can meet her affectionate needs. And those needs need to meet each other somewhere. Sometimes we have very poor orientation to sex before we get married. I remember even in my premarital counseling, I was not taken through sex and the whole concept of sex in terms of readiness and the processes involved. And when you can know that that sexual encounter was a really fulfilling sexual encounter apart from the highs that one would feel at the end of it all. And therefore, people enter into marriage relationships so unprepared about how to go about it. And therefore, many a times when we talk about sexual coercion and rape, this is a person who is doing this not because he understands it as rape, and that is why you will hear a lot of discussions about it's not. It is not coercion, it is not rape, because the orientation of this individual is not factual. It is not scientific in the situation. And therefore, they can do the manipulation, they can do the coercion, they can turn the other person very roughly because they're feeling bad that I'm being denied what I think is my right. And I paid dowry so that I can be getting this. So that orientation that comes from culture and from the society is a bad thing in the schema of a person, because then it makes you do things that are very hurtful to the other party. And that is why it is eventually called rape. There has been a discussion in does rape happen within marriage? And yes, it can happen within marriage, because if you are not tethered to the person that you are having sex with, and that tenderness, like we have said, goes with what you say and what you do and how you move through the process. And even what you do outside this encounter and statements you make even outside this encounter. Because they can be rape in the sense that you're not being kind, you're not being respectful to this individual that you have intimacy with. And therefore, ignorance sometimes makes people do that. Ignorance about how do women warm up to having sex? How do they get excited in having sex in the sex response processes? How do they do that? And so if a male does not understand how a woman warms up to the process of having sex, then there is a tendency of wanting only his needs to be met because he doesn't understand that the other party takes longer, takes a process for them to be able to warm up so that eventually they can be together within this journey. And therefore, that inconsideration, lacking consideration in the situation is tantamount to rape. Now, coercion would come before that someone has said, no, I am in my menses and I can't have sex. And someone is being unreasonable and saying, you know what, whether you're in your menses or not, you need to understand that your role is to meet my sexual needs. And a woman is saying, by the way, I feel so uncomfortable when I am in my menses and we are having sex. So kindly consider this. This we can see is more reasonable in the situation.
Yeah.
But picture a situation where a lady is saying, you know what, I am so tired. Because in my workplace, we've been given a lot of work to do, and I'm not feeling like it. You're not feeling like it 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months. You're not feeling like it.
Yeah.
Indeed, it's very unfair.
All right.
It is very unfair to the person you got married to.
Yeah.
Because when we are talking about emotional needs, it's a need you cannot explain away. It is a need you cannot rationalize for. And if you have a problem, if you have a medical problem, then we need to talk about it so that we can understand it. And sometimes the situation that we may be having can be more of our genitalia and the makeup or how God has created us. And you may be very uncomfortable because of the way you are created. That is a time to go and visit your gynecologist so that you can be checked and you can be told this is how your genitalia is.
Yeah.
And because of that, when you're having sex, this is what you need to do. But you cannot just say no. And we are not understanding why the no. And no, that is, and also when you're saying no in a very agitated, angry way.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not child play that we are talking about. They are real needs that are being expressed here. And therefore your anger is irrelevant in the situation. Can you be cool and say, by the way, let's talk about this as adults should.
Yeah.
And let's talk about our mishaps here so that we can correct them.
Literally, this is not child play. Now,
it is not. Serious business.
It's very serious business. Rev, let's talk about your partner has said no. What next in order to ensure that your relationship is growing and healthy? Do you just sleep and say, okay, sasa umekata, or you find out why they're saying no? How should you do or act?
One, I want to say, thank you that today we are talking about sex.
Yeah.
I know some of my viewers could be a little bit uncomfortable as they sit here and we discuss this, but it's good to realize that sex is life. And you realize that most of the time, even in our churches or gatherings, even somebody who is sleepy, the moment topic of sex comes up, even in the sanctuary, they all wake up.
They wake up and start saying amen.
Amen. Because
to hear more.
Or even start even laughing or being happy about it. Why? Because it's about life. And you, me, and even you, my viewer, and all of us that are here, White Note of Sex will not be here, will not be alive. It is because of it that we are alive. Back to the question, Faith. Your partner has said no. It is important, picking it from where Prof left it, that this is not child play. It is good to get to understand why your partner is saying no.
All right.
Talk to her, talk to him. If they did that yesterday, last week, it is 2 weeks, it is 3 weeks, it's a month, and they're not ready, then it surely tells you there is something bigger than it. If all they are complaining is that I'm tired because of my workplace, maybe it is true. They are going through some stress at workplaces, work-related stress. Maybe by the time the person is coming home, it's like a burden rolling down their shoulders after all that. So they want to be listened to. You want to talk to them. It is necessary for either of the partner to listen to their spouses. If you're a lady and you are at that moment of elation moment when you really need this guy, and he comes home and he cannot even be able to raise, he just hits the bed and turns the other way. Before you start pushing him and telling him you're not a man enough, you cannot do it, can you be able to understand the person?
Yeah.
Maybe the person has some rental houses. It is COVID time, they're not being paid. Maybe the person has been laid off in their place of work. Maybe they don't have salary. Maybe they have been threatened. Maybe they were working in a private school and they are no longer able to work. And here they are so stressed out, they're wondering, where do I get the next bread? for my family. And now he comes home, and if instead of helping him out to get the next, loaf of bread for the family, you're busy telling him he's not a man enough. You're not a good guy. You cannot even satisfy me. Try to understand what the person is going through. So it could even be a whole month. Like I know people when the issue of the COVID set in, and the first month, March was like, okay, guys, stayed at home, and they were together, loving each other. We are having time. We are enjoying time with each other. Come to April, come to May, especially in the month of April and May, many families underwent a lot of trouble, a lot of stress, because reality has hit her. It's end month. I have received a letter from my employer saying we no longer can pay salaries. We have received letters from, or we have called those of our employers and told them we can only be able to pay you the basic salary, no allowances. Now it hits you home. Then the lady starts wondering, the guy who was so loving, ameenda wapi? The woman who was so loving, where has she gone to? Because the reality is hitting. To answer in simple words, we need to discuss. When your wife or husband says, I'm not in a position, talk to them. Is it about me? Is it about you? What is happening? Is it something beyond, not about the two of us, maybe work-related or relatives or some other thing? Look into the core. Raping or forcing someone into having sex, it should be the last thing in a marriage. Yes, because it means there is communication breakdown between the two couples, between the two people. Even if it's a girlfriend and a boyfriend and you almost want to push each other to having sex, understand. Maybe this lady has principles. I cannot engage in sex before I have married, and the man is being irresponsible. Or the man has principles. I cannot take anybody's daughter to bed before I have married them. And the girl is saying, oh, I need to test whether you are a man enough. Maybe I'm marrying a guy who cannot rise to the occasion. Kuja hapa tuangalie kuna nini hapa. Talk, get to understand each other.
Sure.
Thank you.
Professor had touched on when the no is now becoming too much. I mean, 3 months down the line, you're still saying no. How is this possible? Let's talk about this. We'll come to you. But love to hear from you, Rev. When the no becomes too much.
Yeah, it's true. And the no can be too much. And again, the people who report the no more are men. They are the ones who report that the ladies are saying no more than the men who report that the ladies are saying no. And again, this is the male ego thing. When the man is the one saying no, it will not be reported as mad. But when the lady says no, the men, because they want to brag around and say, I am a man enough, is my girl who is not. And some of them also want to justify the reason as to why they are having other relationships. So she kept on saying no, she kept on saying no. So mi nikashindwa hii mahitaji yangu nitapeleka wapi. So nikakuta Zainabu na Mweni wako sawa na Wanjiko. So I found myself there. But when the no is prolonged, not even prolonged, when there is no, get to know why. Even before it is prolonged. Your wife says, I'm tired. Okay, why, sweetheart? What has happened? No, the place of work. Or I'm having my menses, So you have talked about the no. The man says no. Why is he saying no? Probably it's work or he's not feeling well. So at whatever point there is a no, talk about it. If the no goes for a month, 2 months, 3 months, talk about it. It means there's something deeper. And by the way, a couple could even go for a year without having sex. Why? Suppose one of you becomes sick. And there's a medical condition. You will have to wait for your spouse. You won't say, because they are sick, they will have to understand I have now to go looking for it elsewhere. So that's what I'm saying. And no, at whatever point, either it's a week or 2 or a month, ought to be explained. Yes, so that people can work together. And sometimes ladies will say no because they want some, it's a manipulation. I'm saying no because I asked for a dress, it's not forthcoming. I'm saying no because I wanted a digital watch, and the digital watch is not forthcoming. I'm saying no because probably I needed that phone, it's not forthcoming. So it's saying no, like, nunua kwanza. Like there was one incident where the man had gone to the lady's home with very little money. Let me use a figure that was not there. 2,000, but something around that figure. The moment he went to say, I am the one with your girl. So 2 years down the line, 3 years, 5 years down the line, he has never gone back to the girl's family. So the girl starts saying no because she wants the man to go and give dowry back home. So the complaint comes in like, sasa 2,000 ni pesa ya kushindana kila siku ukinisumbua kwa kitanda. So now, so the man is almost wondering, so there is an invoice, you know?
I'm being billed.
Kuna invoice hapa that I'm supposed to be paying. So the no needs to be explained. That's what you're trying to say here.
Thank you for that. Now, Prof, let's look at rape has happened in marriage. This is your husband, this is your wife. You cannot just walk out and say, you know what, bye-bye. It is not, I'd say, a courtship kind of a relationship. Now, for the couple, trying to build that trust again. Your man has had you forcefully. You want to go over that barrier. It has damaged you. How do you work it out?
You have to start with yourself, because when someone takes advantage of you, it feels very unfair, very unjust, and you feel abused and downtrodden in many ways, emotionally, even mentally. You feel you've not been respected because you kept on saying no, and someone has still persisted and does what they wanted to do. And therefore, for women mostly, it makes them develop a lot of resentment. We deal with a lot of resentment in our therapy rooms. And resentment makes a woman disconnect completely, emotionally. You disconnect with your spouse and you don't want to have anything to do with the person. And to get a person to reactivate themselves so that they can be able to feel like they bond again with their spouse is quite a journey. And it's something that a woman needs to work on so that she can get to a point where she's feeling healed and she's feeling that irrespective of what happened, she is important to herself, because it has to start with yourself. Because when you have been abused to that extent, because the worst abuse that anyone can go through is sexual abuse. And therefore you need to rebuild yourself, rebuild your integrity. It is that time that a person can now say, you know what, even this marriage, I can start building it. And sometimes it's not possible to build it between yourselves because you're arguing and you're going through cycles of not being able to find a way out of the thicket of where you've pushed each other in. And because, again, sex matters are not talked about, especially in the African culture, so openly, so you even don't have the words to talk about it. And therefore, you're not really coming out in how you feel and what you'd want done. And you also don't know whether it's okay to say what you'd want to see done. And that is the point at which that couples need to seek counseling, to seek support, so that another person can listen to them and help them to untangle or to unwind this tangle of the sexual mess that they have put themselves into, and which has affected everyone else and affects communication, affects the children. It will spill over to the church, to the community, to the extended family, because these people are very angry with each other. But they're not telling us it is the sex arena that stopped making sense for them. And therefore, when professional help is required, it will be important for people to seek it.
Thank you so much for that. I mean, we can talk about sex coercion and rape, especially in marriage, for a whole day. This is such an interesting topic, but can they love us to wrap up here? Definitely, this discussion does not end here, dear viewer. Let's keep interacting on our socials. But for now, as we conclude, I'd love us to comment something about sex, sexual coercion, and rape, especially in relationships and marriage. We'll go first.
one, it's good to realize that sex is very important to all of us in our relationship because sex, one, helps to lift up the self-esteem of a man or a woman. Sex takes away all these little irritations in a home, especially from a man. Sex helps a woman to stabilize her nervous system. And some would even say that if you find a woman who is suffering headache, mgongo pale, it means she's not properly well taken care of. The moment you take care of her, anapona.
Right.
So sex is very, very important. Because it's about you engage your entire body, the mind, the soul, the spirit, physically. Because like Prophet said earlier, when you use the rough language, the wrong language, the genitals take a backseat, all of them. Which means when they feel safe, loved, taken care of, understood, wherever, sure, they all come up. So when you are able to enjoy it very well in a home, then it means there is a good environment in that home. So a conducive environment is good for everyone. The other thing is that it's important for every one of us to realize that you shouldn't coerce someone. Understand them, and you should not engage in rape. Understand when your spouse says no, engage them. Open a discussion openly, without already preconceived judgment or being judgmental to your spouse. Open up that discussion, get to understand why is my spouse in this particular state, and then once you realize why they are there, then you can be able to move on and realize this is a God-given gift. Let us enjoy it.
All right. Oh.
Yeah. For those people who are much older and they take advantage of much younger partners, like a man who is much older taking advantage of someone who is much younger, we call them pedophiles. And a pedophile is a person who lacks the skills of talking about what they need to the other person until the other person consents to what they want. And a pedophile is a person who feels entitled. And when you're talking about coercion, it's that sense of entitlement. I would say that sex is supposed to be mutual, it's supposed to be corroborative. It should not be an entitlement that one feels to the other one. Whether you have paid dowry or whatever you have done, or you are within a relationship, you don't have an entitlement to another person's body until they consent to it. And being human to another person means that you are ready to listen to them and to hear them out, so that together you can be able to travel through this journey. That is a precious journey that God created for people to be happy and for people to be fulfilled and contented.
Yeah, I'm really glad we had this discussion today. I wish we had more time, but definitely we'll keep interacting with our viewers on our social media pages. Any questions you have, anything you'd like to clarify, talk to us. On Facebook is at CAC TV Kenya. I'd love to wrap this up with a no means no. Don't say, the no didn't sound so sure, so hi Duru, it was okay. No means no, and that's what I'd love to leave you with tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Faith Kaulu. Till next time, goodbye.